Welcome to The Sex Matters. I'm Dr. Thuy.
And I'm Jenna Stewart.
In today's episode, we're diving deep into the concept of sexual deprivation and revival. We'll explore how a scarcity mentality impacts our lives, relationships, and sexual well-being.
Through intimate discussions and practical exercises, we'll uncover ways to shift from deprivation to abundance, fostering healing and growth, and a renewed sense of pleasure and intimacy.
Join us as we navigate this transformative journey from scarcity to sexual revival. Today we're going to be talking about sexual deprivation and revival. The cornerstone that we're working on is not necessarily changing what has happened to you, because it's not possible, but having a new relationship with everything that you've experienced that maybe previously you've deemed as traumatic or difficult, or in many ways you might have had a negative relationship with it. We want to shift the way that you relate to it now. And in that shifting, you allow for a space or a clearing for something new to emerge. One of the most difficult transformations is from what I would say is a deprivation or scarcity mentality that has been designed primarily for protection, or in many ways to stay guarded against what it means to be vulnerably connected to someone else. So sexual deprivation or scarcity often looks like depriving yourself of different things, whether it's a relationship, pleasure, even the idea of exploring what your fantasies or desires are. So oftentimes when Jen and I are working, deprivation, specifically sexually, is where we would start. And it's not a jump towards, well, what's your greatest fantasy? It's what's your defense against this moment that is trying to emerge? What's the defense specifically for you? So for some people, it can be rejection. For others, it might be that they don't feel that they would want to experience being hurt. It's very common. Another might be, well, I've never even experienced this before, so I don't even know what it is when it's happening. So for today, what we're going to do is we're going to work with Peter. Tell me a little bit about what scarcity or deprivation has been in your life. What's your relationship to that?
Emotional scarcity, sexual scarcity, financial scarcity. I will close my eyes to what is there and tell myself a story that, oh no, you don't have enough money for this, or no, there's not enough to go do something, or that person's not going to be there, even if there is someone that's going to be there, even if there is the money there. So I keep telling me this story, and then, sometimes reality confronts me, and it's like, oh, I can go do this, or that person is going to show up for me.
Yeah.
And I almost get a little upset.
Almost? Or actually?
That they're challenging that narrative.
Yeah.
And I want to let go of that narrative.
Yes. When our patterns and behaviors that we've been living are challenged, there's a defense against that. We actually fight the change. Even though in your minds you might really want it, in actuality, what happens is you fight it, or you get angry, or you want to go into a defense to keep it intact. There's this really beautiful concept of when you let the ego drop and sort of fall away, what comes into your awareness is like a truer sense of self, who you actually are. But first, you have to allow for the ego to fall away, because it's such a strong sense of you in your cognitive process. It's just not actually you. In many ways, the way that we manage something like scarcity and or deprivation is we become that other thing for others. So we may not get the emotional support, and we may feel a kind of deprivation, but you all are very likely going to be there for other people in the way that you actually wanted modeled for yourself. and just watch for that as a compensation to what you didn't get.
I think scarcity exists no matter what age, no matter what race, unless you're a monk or you're practicing every day. I think scarcity is something that exists with the happiest people, the people that have financial abundance and family and all of that. You'll find that somewhere under it there is an element of scarcity in their life. It doesn't go away, but the brain is a muscle, so it's like going to the gym. Every morning you wake up and you go, there's abundance in my life. I have, great gratitude for the shoes on my feet, the clothes on my back, my friends, the bed that I sleep in. And it becomes this muscle every day that's, living and breathing and going, I have abundance, I have abundance. And then you watch what comes into your life. You're like a magnet. It's something that just doesn't, one day you wake up and you're all abundance. It's like you have to really see where abundance is in your life and practice, and then it grows because you recognize it.
Our next guest is going to talk about his experience with emotional deprivation and scarcity. You guys ready? Perfect. Hi.
Hi.
I really appreciate you telling your story. I just wanted you to start wherever you want to start in terms of where this process began for you.
I think it was when I was a little boy,
How little?
2, 3, at home alone. Well, my mother was there, but she would come home from work, take some sleeping pills, zonked out. I'd try and go in and wake her up to get something. I was hungry or I was bored, and I couldn't wake her up. I had to go off on my own and figure out whatever it was, find the food or entertain myself. It was a very strange dynamic where I wanted her to be with me. And then when she was, it was intrusive. So I was never happy. And I remember as a kid, little toddler crawling up onto the counters, trying to get up into the cabinets, and was really just left alone to my own devices. I learned early on how to take care of myself.
Wow. That is such an incredible story because it gives us more insight into now how we've talked about how you want to be part of a group, but then not part of a group, and how you are a bit push-pull in relationships. That part of you wants them, and then in another way, part of you might feel really defended against them, starting to really get a sense of how that was developed for you as a child.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. It's this constant tension that I can't find peace on either side, either in solitude or being in a group or being in community. I'm just never at peace.
How would you describe either that loneliness or that sense of deprivation as it maybe applied to relationships or sexuality?
I was married for a long time, now divorced, and people say, oh, do you feel lonely now that you're divorced? And I have children that are grown, and I don't know. Because when I was married, I felt more alone because in that dynamic, it was like my childhood again. I would go ask for something or I need help with something and I wouldn't get it. So, okay, if I don't take care of it, I'm not getting it.
Yeah.
No one's going to do it for me. But I'm expected, and I certainly stepped up to making sure everyone else was taken care of.
Right.
So I was the provider. I'd show up. I was the dependable one. I made it happen, but I couldn't rely on anyone to make it happen for me. So I became very much of a self-starter. I couldn't trust people. I want to be close with them, but I couldn't get close. I don't want to be alone. And I enjoy people. I enjoy deep, meaningful relationships with people, or at least I think I do. And I've been able to develop some of those over the years.
Yeah.
And, growing up, I felt very much estranged from my family. So my friendships became very, very, very important to me. I really try very hard in those relationships. So I want that closeness with people.
Yeah.
I want that sense of community. I keep going out and trying to create it in different ways and different places.
Is it working though?
I thought it was. And then I found out that all those endeavors, I'd get involved with this community or that group and this group. And really what it was compensating for feeling very alone at home.
Yeah.
You know, I was finding a community, but it really wasn't fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I was going after it for the wrong reasons.
And there's a big difference between belonging to a community in a physical, actual, kind of on paper way, and a different sense of being part of in a deeper, more emotionally connected way. I imagine that's what you're really missing.
That's what I was missing. Now, other people might think that I was very much a part of that community because, again, I was giving. I was going out and helping in those different groups. I was very much of the worker bee. I'm the person that would show up and do things. But I didn't feel that closeness.
So interesting because when we think about the ways in which you've coped with your disappointment, it's to become really independent. Even though you have this deep longing to connect with others, the way that you've actually lived life is to be very independent. And so while you want to be with others, you've lived very, in some ways, solitary.
Yeah. Being very independent, competent. The competence comes from a place of anger.
There's a psychological defense called reaction formation. And what that means is you feel something like this desire for something. It's almost like an opposite reaction. And if you're really angry at someone, then the way that you will manage that is to be really nice to them, right? And so for you, you might feel really angry or sad about being lonely, but your reaction to that would be, I'm going to be hyper independent, almost as a defense against connecting. So it might even feel sometimes like, I don't need anybody, even though I want somebody, but I don't need anybody. We're still watching that push-pull dynamic that you experienced. And even when you do connect, you might have the defense against the connection, like mistrust it or feel as if it's not real, something like that.
Yeah, I'm seen as aloof. I keep people at a distance. People don't quite know what my story is.
Right.
You know, I was in college. I was involved with a bunch of different organizations as people get involved with in college. And I remember going back for my 10-year reunion. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
It's like I was there. But I had no connection to anybody.
Yeah.
And that was a real eye-opener for me. And so I don't have that connection. That's where even as a child, going into the food, going into the alcohol, became very prone to addictive behaviors. And that was my way of coping or filling up that void. If I didn't get the love from other people, I could get it from a gallon of ice cream.
Yeah. It's often the way we do relationships is to fill a void versus being really whole people and allowing another whole person to come together with us so that we're whole together. It's what is it that's within me that I need you to fill, or vice versa.
I think part of the scarcity, especially in relationships or even, you know, sexual interactions, is I will not ask for anything. So, and in fact, if someone tries to do something for me, not necessarily sexual, but let's say someone does a kind act for me, or I'm in a relationship with somebody and she does something very nice, I get very uncomfortable. I like it, but it's very hard for me to receive something. Even when people used to compliment me, I'd be, oh, no. You know, push it away until one day someone said to me, shut up, that's a compliment. And what you're going to say is, thank you. From then on, that's how I handle it. Whether I felt that way or not, that's how I took the compliment. But people doing things for me, it's very hard. People are like, oh, it's your birthday. What would you like to do? And my mind is blank. I have no idea. And it's very hard for me to come up with it because if I come up with, then I'm afraid, don't think we can make that happen.
Well, you're managing the disappointment.
Yes. Even before it happens.
Absolutely. What's fascinating about that, though, is we actually don't protect against that moment. We think we do, but even if that moment occurs, it hurts. It doesn't hurt less because we're prepared for it. So I would hope that maybe there is a shift that you might make in terms of being so guarded or defended. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to make that shift, to open up and to have expectations,
Yeah.
positive expectations, positive outcomes. Good things are going to happen,
Yep.
not, the sky is falling.
So when you think about the message that you want to share with others that are going through what you're going through, what do you feel is the message that you'd like to share?
There is no scarcity. Scarcity is inside. It's not the other people that aren't doing it for me. It's me either not allowing them or selecting people that won't show up or me pushing them away and giving them mixed signals so they don't know what they want. I think the message is in changing that internal dialogue inside of yourself. And then externally, you're going to see some things happen and do things differently. Don't wait for the world to change. Don't wait for other people to change. I have to do it differently.
We often set up conditions where we are looking for answers outside of ourselves and they don't exist. I really appreciate the way that you articulated that. It's really beautiful. And I think it's a really important message for people to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that was a really beautiful example of how a moment when I was talking about in childhood can affect us well into adulthood. What did you all feel when you were watching that?
Expect more anger.
It's so interesting that you said that because it's not easy to access anger, which is a very galvanizing emotion, when you're neglected, right? That's not where it generally starts. So if you were physically abused, oftentimes that's like a very easy way to get angry because it's confrontational, combative, kind of immediate. But if you imagine what being ignored is like, if I'm looking at all of you and then I'm just talking, but whatever you're doing over there is fine, but I don't actually care. That kind of disconnect can be really jarring. And that over time, it doesn't necessarily breed the kind of anger that we talk about, which is a healthy, entitled anger. It breeds often a different kind of anger, which is a bit quieter, quiet anger like resentment, or anger that becomes martyr like, I don't need anything, I don't want anything. It's more passive. Sometimes it even looks like something positive. I will do everything for everyone and I need nothing. It's exactly right that it is anger. It just doesn't manifest as active anger, kind of an impotent anger, is the way I would put it. One of the most important aspects of moving from deprivation and scarcity is allowing yourself to recognize that it's there. So there's often a denial, right? Because we're living in this space where it's become a way of life. You're used to it. This is the way that you've constructed life as a defense. But the next thing that is so important in terms of working through deprivation, scarcity, towards abundance is how you communicate. Sometimes what we actually like doing is to not talk about it because the experience itself is really tragic or sad. Someone's psyche that develops like that is going to have a sense of worthlessness or a sense that they aren't important or they shouldn't ask for anything. So the first thing that we want to do is move into, well, how does this person communicate? How do you ask for what you need? And what does it bring up for you? So if you're sitting here and one of you is thirsty, you may not even ask for that because maybe you have a cognitive override about, is that okay to do? I'll be okay. I don't need that, right? It really is so significant how you communicate what your actual needs are. And do you have a belief system that you can move from scarcity to abundance? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together some directives for you. And I'm excited about this. I'm going to number these 1 to 3. We're going to do 3 exercises. You're going to hold these cards. You're going to hand them to him in numerical order. So he goes 1, 2, 3.
That's numerical, you guys. 1, 2, 3.
And when she does, we're going to go through it very systematically, is you're going to state this to Jenna, and we're going to talk about it step by step. So it would look like you're holding those. You hand me number 1, face down. I look. And then I say this to you. Okay.
You're saying it. He's saying it.
He's saying
to
it.
me. Okay.
How are you feeling as we're getting started?
Apprehensive.
Perfect. Then we're ready. Off I go. Off I go. So go ahead, Jenna, ask permission in a much more flirty, playful way if you can take that scarf off.
Can I take your scarf off?
Sure.
Do you see how when her energy becomes playful, he meets it with a certain kind of playful? So just notice that communication oftentimes will be unconsciously geared towards similarity. So if you're open, the other person's open. And then just check in with him about how he's feeling being in proximity with you.
How does it feel being this close to me?
It's nice.
No feelings of nervousness? No.
Wondering what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm. Are you excited?
Little.
And let him know what it feels like for you to be sitting there with him.
So I feel really present with you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is just easy
Mm-hmm.
and comfortable, like that we share like a real similar place of just
Mm-hmm.
decompression. Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
I'd like you to prep him for card 1. So the idea is 1, you hand it to him. 2, he reads it to you. 3, when he says it to you, we're going to talk about how he feels. And then you're going to do the action.
Okay, so I'm going to hand you this card.
Okay.
You're going to read it to yourself. Just make sure you understand what it says. And then you're going to read it to me.
So it's a statement. I'll read it to myself or take it in, and then I say it to you.
Correct. There's an action on there.
Oh, okay.
So you're going to read that to me.
Right.
And then I'm going to do the action.
Okay.
Okay? And then we're going to talk about it.
So may I read it now?
Read it and then tell me how you feel.
Okay. A little surprised.
Surprised.
But into it.
Okay, he's into it.
Can I read the statement?
Now
Okay.
you can read it.
I want you to stroke my face.
Okay,
And
hang on. But I'm going to talk to the group for 1 second. How did he ask her for that statement? What did it sound like? Like asking for milk?
Yeah, can I have a cheeseburger?
Can I have a cheeseburger with fries,
Not
right?
turning out
Right?
as simply as I thought.
Reflect to him that he just asked you for a cheeseburger with fries. Thank you very much.
I'm having a moment because what it sounded like was you want a cheeseburger and fries, but you were actually asking me to do something really sensual. But what I heard was I want a cheeseburger and fries. So can you say it to me in a very sensual way that you want me to actually touch your face? Sensually.
Sure.
I noticed that you're laughing sort of to deflect because you sense that, right? The way you
yeah.
asked me. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was a little, okay, I'm just going to say
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. So now imagine that you're with me in a relationship and you're asking for what you want. Ask me that way.
That's hard. Yes. I want you to stroke my face.
Go ahead and do the action. This time we're going to do it again. Shift hands.
We're going to do it again. Okay.
Okay?
Touch your face.
And really focusing on his eye contact and noticing what you're feeling as he is allowing for or resisting the touch. Does he settle in? Does he not settle in? Does he allow for the moment to be something more than an exercise? And you can reflect that to him, what it feels like.
I feel you're in the moment. I feel you're really letting yourself enjoy that. Yeah?
I am really
Yeah.
enjoying it.
Yeah. There's no sort of like tension or resistance. His breathing maintains cadence. He's just comfortable.
Perfect. Let's move into the next card.
Okay, card number 2.
You see where this is going.
I'm going to talk to the group. Do you see how adorable he is? There's such a sweetness. It's very, there's such a purity to what's happening for him right now. But there's a cautiousness as well. He's doing great.
Yeah.
Let him know that.
You're doing great. You are.
Thank you.
You can notice that taking off eyeglasses becomes an act of comfort.
Go ahead, read it. Make sure you know.
Oh, I know.
Say it out loud.
I know.
Okay. Let's roll.
So I'll say this like I'm not ordering a cheeseburger.
Please.
I want you to touch my lips.
Can I touch your lips?
Yes.
Hang on. Tell him to ask you again. You are not asking permission. You are making him ask you again as an act of dominance.
So I want you to ask me again.
Okay. In a different way or just ask it
I
again?
want you to just ask me again.
Okay. I want you to touch my lips.
Let's do it with a finger. Perfect. And pause. And noticing how he feels. Go ahead and ask.
How do you feel?
Good. How do you feel? Was that a strange experience for you?
No.
Don't let him cross a
was very
boundary
nice.
about him.
I want to know, what did that feel like for you?
It felt very nice to have my lips caressed. It was very gentle, very sensual. I liked it.
Let him know, be with that for a bit while I talk to the group. It's not exactly a boundary crossing. What's happening is he's very comfortable in the role of reciprocity. So he's much more comfortable in the role of giving than receiving. Just notice that that was a role reversal that he's trying to utilize as a defense against taking in nourishment. Let's do one more and then we'll wrap.
Card number 3.
The sky's the limit on this one.
Go ahead and read it.
Thank you.
This is an action you're not going to do. It's just language that I want him to be comfortable with.
Can I read it to you?
You can read it to me.
I want you to tell me how much you want me.
Can you ask me again?
Mm-hmm.
Like you really want to know.
Right.
Yeah. I felt like that was a business transaction.
A little hard to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just take a deep breath.
I want you. Of course, I got to. I want you to tell me how much you want me.
So the response is, I love that you asked me that.
I love that
And-
you asked me that.
And that you will tell him
And I will tell you
soon.
soon.
And then check in about how he's feeling.
So how does that make you feel?
Anticipation.
Perfect.
I'd like to know now.
And let him know that we're going to continue to work on this, especially with the last one.
We're going to continue to work on this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is a dun dun dun.
To be continued.
Yes, to be continued.
Okay.
Yes. It's part of the revival.
Okay.
And then invite him back into the group room.
Let's go back into the room.
Okay.
Why might I want to pause on the third one? Why might that be important?
To get used to the idea that you can ask for something, you may not get it right away.
That's exactly right. Part of vulnerability is not having an expectation that if you ask, you get. That's not an actual ask. That's a tell. So if you're in relationship with someone and you want to tell them what to do, great. But if you're in relationship and you want to communicate and actually have a true sense of communication, that needs to be optional, whether they do it or not. What I'm trying to disengage is this idea of if you ask, you receive. That's what children do. As adults, it's a conversation. Right now, what we're working on is, well, how is the ask being formulated? What does it sound like, right? So not like ordering a cheeseburger, right? I definitely want to pair for Peter that the anticipation is not rejection. Does that make sense? What his natural regressive psyche wants to do is pair that with, oh, I'm disappointed, right? Maybe as a reflex. Because he's working, because this isn't real life in a particular way, I want to make sure that his sense of disappointment or rejection isn't what he's doing in the present moment. What a beautiful question. I want to know how you desire me, or I want to know how you want me, or I want to know what you love about me or like about me. That's a delicious question. That is something we want to savor. And if I want that to happen for Peter, anyone else, I want to make sure that they have a sense of that, because it's not about giving an answer. It's really about communicating what would actually feel really healing or beautiful. You could feel, and I'm imagining in that space, right? There was a lot of how it started and the way that he might have set it up to be more like an exercise. And then there were moments when he really let himself enjoy your touch or the experience.
There was a moment that your legs started to bounce. Let's get that little.
Really?
But I think I feel very comfortable with you. I think it, once we got into the work, by the second question, when I ran my finger over your lips, you actually opened your mouth. And I don't know if that was, I felt like it was just very natural. You could have been very tense, but it was like, okay, I'm going to allow this to happen. And then I sort of felt you just relax, the legs stop shaking. You were like, okay, I'm here and let's do this.
I was trying to get into that state. I mean, I felt very stiff walking into it, a little awkward asking those questions.
It's not just awkward because you're in that space. It's awkward because it's not something that you do very often.
No.
So that exercise would go very differently if Jen and I were doing it, right?
Sure.
There would be a very particular way that it would move very quickly into different realms, because the asking might not be the issue. There might be another issue. So we're just working through whatever it feels like, because it's all perfect.
As you do the work and you kind of work out the kinks,
Right.
is that when you are with someone that you really want to be close to and you want to, engage with and have a connection with, you're not afraid to be vulnerable. You're not afraid to, you're like, oh, this is a little uncomfortable, but I'm fine because I've done this. That's the beauty of surrogacy. You really get to be present with someone and it's tangible and you can, feel the feels. And so then when you are in the situation with someone and things are getting very deep, that you go, I got this. You know, this isn't really uncomfortable for me because I've practiced this, you know?
I know the terrain, so to speak.
Yeah. It's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us on The Sex Matters. We hope this exploration of sexual deprivation and revival has offered valuable insights into embracing abundance in your sexual life.
Remember, shifting from scarcity to abundance is a journey that can lead to profound healing and fulfillment.
By fostering open communication, self-compassion, and a positive relationship with your sexuality, you can cultivate empowerment, connection, and joy.
Join us next time as we continue to unravel the complexities of human sexuality and relationships.
This is Dr. Thuy
And Jenna Stewart.
signing off.
She's very insightful, and I find that she was very good at putting me at ease. And I think the way that she put me at ease is really being very spot on with her insights about how I act and how I'm going to act and things. I think she's very extraordinary that way. She has the insight to sort of know, okay, this is where we can take him next. There's a little bit of discomfort only because you're trying something new or doing something in a different situation, but she's very good at sort of taking you along the way down that path. I was a little nervous, just not knowing what was going to happen, but she's a very warm presence. I felt that she put me at ease. But also, I think I was, having worked with her and seeing how she's interacted with everybody else, I felt very comfortable with her. So it was probably a little bit easier for me walking in there and doing the exercise as opposed to if I had never met her before. So seeing her sort of interact with the group gave me a comfort level. And she's very open and very accessible, I think is a good word, emotionally accessible.